The prayer of the day will be offered today by the wonderful lady from Hartford County. Good morning.
Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Speaker. This is a prayer that I received from going to the funeral to my husband's uncle, Danny. And Daniel was the designated survivor for Aberdeen Proving Ground. Thank God he never had to be that designated survivor, but he was a wonderful person. He was number 3 at APG, and the helicopters would come and take him to the Pentagon. And he always had to make sure that he had a toothbrush and underwear. So with that said, Uncle Dan, in your honor, this is a prayer of St. Francis of Assisi. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me know love. Let me show love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. When there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Amen.
Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Anyone in the back? Just, okay. All right. Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February the 22nd, 2026.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the journal.
So order petitions, memorials, and other papers. Again, thank you everyone for your patience this morning. We're going to do a House resolution, and I'm going to recognize the delegate from Anne Arundel County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Good morning, colleagues. And on behalf of the Taiwan Friendship Caucus, which consists of senators and delegates who have traveled to Taiwan as part of an official delegation from Maryland, request permission to use the delegates' names.
Permission granted.
Delegates Shalega, Valderrama, Sample Hughes, Frazier Hidalgo, and myself. It is an honor to welcome Ambassador Andrew Yu to the Maryland House of Delegates. Since taking up his post 2 years ago, he has traveled across the United States and set the example for subnational work, building relationships at the state level and encouraging friendship and partnership between Taiwan and the United States. Dear Ambassador Yu, it is an honor to have you and your team with us today in the People's House.
Thank you. Welcome. Will the reading clerk please read the resolution in full?
Be it hereby known to all that the House of Delegates of Maryland offers its sincerest congratulations to the Taipei Economic and Cultural Representative Office in recognition of the partnership between Maryland and Taiwan, our shared common values for freedom, democracy, and human rights, and our strong economic relationship. The entire membership extends best wishes on this memorable occasion and directs this resolution to be presented on this 4th day of March 2026.
Introduction of House bills. The clerk will read the bills and their committee assignments.
House Rule 1625, Delegate Hill, House Rules. House Rule 1626, Delegate Metzger, House Rules. House Rule 1627, Howard County Delegation, House Rules by order of Sylvia Secret, Chief Clerk.
The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives Number 58, March 4th, 2026, refer to appropriations.
Message from the Senate. Senate bills introduced in the House. The clerk will read the bills and the committee assignments.
Senate Bill 338, Senator Lewis Young, appropriations. Senate Bill 448, Carroll County Senators, appropriations. Senate Bill 453, Senator Jennings, appropriations. Senate Bill 614, Dorchester County Senators, appropriations. Senate Bill 724, Senator Lewis Young, appropriations. By order of Sylvia Secret, Chief Clerk.
Thank you so much. Special order calendar, House Bill number 262, recognizing the maker of the motion. The delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
After reading the bill, I decided that there really aren't any amendments that would fix it, and I'll have comments on third reader. Thank
House Bill
you.
262, State Government, Council for Open Data, Membership and Responsibilities, favor report is amended and adopted.
Thank you. I jumped the shark.
It's okay.
My questions have been answered.
Thank you so much. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Special order calendar, House Bill 386. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 386, Metro Funding Modification Act of 2026, favor report is amended and adopted.
Recognizing the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have an amendment at the desk, 633026/1.
Amendment number 1.
Move so much be considered the reading of the
So
amendment.
order.
Thank you. If you recall from yesterday, what the impact and the effect of this bill is that it essentially takes roughly, as estimated by the fiscal experts of the Department of Legislative Services, about $140 million a year extra on top of what we already give WMATA. It takes that extra and gives it to them to support their capital budget and their individual capital programs. Some of those capital needs may be spent in Maryland. Some of them may be spent in the District of Columbia. Some of them may be spent in Virginia. There's no limitation on that. So it's important. An extra $140 million. How are we going to do it? Well, the bill says we're going to do it by taking the money out of the Transportation Trust Fund capital budget. But, as the delegate from Montgomery County has pointed out, in many years, rather than diminish that fund, because that fund has a cap, we're not adding $140 million to the TTF cap, rather than diminish that fund and projects that are already provided for under it, we will, my words, backfill it with general obligation bonds that come from the capital budget that we vote on every year, or from general funds, from operating budget funds, essentially, that would be used and diverted to backfill those TTF monies or to provide directly the WMATA additional $140 million. What does that mean at the end of the day? It means that somebody's projects and somebody's spending priorities in this room, or a lot of somebody's, are going to get cut because we're going to give $140 million a year, roughly, more or less, in extra money to WMATA. Because we're not increasing the amount of money that we're providing for in either the TTF capital budget or the general capital budget, the general obligation bonds, but we're simply taking $140 million away. So somebody or a group of somebodies in this room, a couple of years from now in fiscal year 2029, are going to go, gee, I thought we were going to build that, whatever it was, in my district, in my county, and you're going to be told there's no money. And one of the reasons there's no money is because we're diverting an extra $140 million to WMATA. And so what the amendment does, and I really took this based upon, I think, the good, intelligent comments of my colleague and friend from Montgomery County, who pointed out that, hey, in Montgomery County and Prince George's County, where every single one of the WMATA stations is based, they have some degree, it varies from station to station, but overall, clearly, they have some degree of increased development, increased property values, increased economic activity within about a 1 mile radius of the WMATA stations. There are no WMATA stations in Baltimore City. There is no growth in Baltimore City or Allegheny County or St. Mary's County or Wicomico County because of WMATA stations. There's nobody moving to our counties and constructing new multifamily housing, constructing new retail, new commercial, because they're close to the mass transit system maintained by WMATA. It only occurs in those two jurisdictions because that's the only place it operates in Maryland. And so what my amendment does in light of those remarks and that information is this. Let's let the increased economic activity from those stations in those jurisdictions help to pay directly, not indirectly, directly for the increased money that goes to WMATA. How do we do that? Everybody in this room that owns a property in the state of Maryland or represents people who do knows one thing. Assessments only go one direction here, up, up. And so what the amendment does is say, as the property tax assessment for these properties, commercial properties, multifamily housing properties, not somebody's house, but commercial and multifamily housing properties increase within that 1 mile distance of the WMATA station, that the state gets more money from that property tax cut, and those monies have to be segregated out, you know, the way we segregated out the blueprint money. Blueprint money's blue, it's not green. Can't use it for anything else. It's special blue money that we can only use for the blueprint. So this becomes special money. The WMATA stations, in theory, are increasing the value of these properties in Montgomery and Prince George's counties. Montgomery and Prince George's counties are getting a direct value from that because they're getting additional property taxes, jobs, all these things too. The state portion of that increase goes to pay for WMATA. What WMATA builds, WMATA gets paid back. What WMATA benefits, the benefits go to help WMATA specifically. And because I don't know and no one can accurately predict in such a short time frame, I can't get the DLS people to give me a number, and I don't blame them for that. It's hard economics. No one can tell whether those increased property assessments will meet the roughly $140 million additional payment. The amendment says, hey, if they don't meet it, then the bill continues to operate and you can use the other mechanisms to pay. WMATA's still going to get its money. I just believe that we should have a target and a cap on how they get their money. They shouldn't get their money by reducing a transportation project in Harford County. They shouldn't get their money by reducing projects that may exist in Baltimore City or Baltimore County or Western Maryland or Southern Maryland or anywhere else. They should get their money from the value that they provide to the state and to those localities. And that's all the amendment would do, is it makes sure that the gains that comes from WMATA goes to WMATA, and that should be applied first and foremost rather than taking away projects from anybody else. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate the Minority Leader getting his amendment to us in a timely fashion and the good conversations that we had last night and this morning about it. I will act on his good faith representation as to what his intent for the amendment was, but I do have to note as a technical matter, the current draft of the amendment that's before us doesn't match the intent he described. I know he's making every effort to have an updated version of that amendment drafted as soon as possible, but I think as a technical matter, we as a body should not be voting on specific amendment language that doesn't match the intent of the Minority Leader's proposed amendment. But I urge the body to reject this amendment for 3 reasons, and I will go on the intent of the Minority Leader in terms of what he proposes in the amendment, in terms of why I believe we should reject this amendment. First, this amendment proposes to redirect future state property tax revenue, and state property tax revenue is by law supposed to go to our annuity bond fund, which is tied directly to our debt service and our bond capacity. Redirecting those revenues has the potential to really mess with our general obligation bond funding. So that's reason number 1 why I believe we should reject this amendment. Secondly, property assessment around metro stations is hardly the only economic benefit that WMATA provides for our state. The benefits are statewide. As I mentioned yesterday, there are thousands of WMATA employees who live in Maryland outside of Prince George's and Montgomery counties, and there are factories from Washington County to Carroll County that employ hundreds of workers because of WMATA. But what I didn't get a chance to say yesterday is that there are people from all over our state who use and ride our metro system. I know this personally because in my day job, I ride the metro, And every time I go to Shady Grove Metro Station, I am fighting for a parking spot with somebody from Washington County or Frederick County or beyond. And the data that WMATA tracks on who uses the system backs this up. And the people are using the system from other parts of the state because they know that driving to a WMATA station, parking, and then riding the system to their final destination can be safer, faster, cheaper, or more convenient. The third reason that I think we should reject this amendment, body, is that WMATA is a public good. We touched on this yesterday. It's just like other transportation projects around the state. When we need additional capital money for a state transportation priority in Western Maryland or the Eastern Shore or Southern Maryland or Baltimore City, we don't say to those areas, hey, you're on your own. Use property tax revenue from properties around your roads if you want to invest in maintenance of good repair or safety upgrades or capacity expansions. By the way, I know for a fact that there are folks from Allegheny and Garrett counties and Cecil County and other places that have ridden Metro at least a few times, even if they don't ride it regularly. But when folks from Montgomery and Prince George's County drive through those other counties once in a while or more often, we don't say, oh, we don't use these roads nearly as much as you do, so we shouldn't have to pay for them. No. As I said yesterday, we are one Maryland, and we understand there are different types of transportation investments in different parts of our state, and that they are all for the good of our state. That's why we have a process through the Maryland Department of Transportation to develop a thorough and comprehensive consolidated transportation program every year containing dozens of projects throughout our state every year. And it's why we have public meetings and road shows in pretty much every county across the state to solicit feedback and develop a plan that addresses all the different parts of our state. It's also why we distribute highway user revenues, a program very near and dear to my heart, to every county and municipality all across the state. And it's why the vote in our committee to support this bill was bipartisan. This amendment proposes a sea change in how we would fund state transportation projects. We don't ask the properties around I-81, US 15, the Bay Bridge, or the Southern Maryland Rapid Transit Study Area to fund the capital investments in those projects through property taxes. Money in the Transportation Trust Fund, including a whole lot of that money that comes from Prince George's and Montgomery counties, I might add, funds those projects. If we want to have a broader discussion about potential changes to the overall funding model for transportation in Maryland, fine, I'm happy to have that discussion. But this amendment and this bill is not the time to do that. We are one Maryland, and I urge the body to reject this amendment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome. Recognizing the minority leader.
WMATA is the most favored child of the Maryland General Assembly. Full stop. WMATA is the most favored child of the Maryland General Assembly when it comes to transportation. Full stop. I don't know if many of you have multiple children and you sit and you look and you're like, you know, I can't tell you that I really like one more than the other, but I really like you more. You get more. WMATA is the most favored child of the Maryland General Assembly. WMATA, why are we doing
Parents
this?
don't do that.
Well,
We're not supposed to do that.
we're not supposed to do that.
No.
We're probably not supposed to do that either, but we do. And so what I would suggest in this dispute, why are we doing this? Because the regional authority of the three jurisdictions that had WMATA in October of 2025 said we are at a crisis. WMATA is at a crisis. We need $460 million more a year just to operate. A year. My friend from Montgomery County is right. Some people from Allegheny County, Garrett County, Cecil County, Worcester County, some people from probably every county. I got to be honest with you, I've rode the Metro a lot of times. I rode it from Virginia when I used to live there into D.C. I haven't ridden it very much on the red line or the yellow lines that service a lot of Maryland. But some do a little bit. But the benefit that accrues from WMATA largely accrues to individualized jurisdictions that are important jurisdictions, significant jurisdictions. In fact, the two largest jurisdictions in our state. Two jurisdictions that by the grace of God have benefited mightily from the decisions emanating from Annapolis, Maryland. They have had the University of Maryland placed there decades ago. They have benefited from decades, hundreds of years ago. They've benefited from federal decisions. Federal government decided to put the FDA and the NIH in Montgomery County. If they would have decided to put them in Cumberland, I bet you we'd be having a different conversation today. The federal government decided to put Fort Meade here in Anne Arundel County. If they decided to put it in Frederick County, I bet you we'd be having a very different discussion today. We didn't do anything here to make some places the most favored child. Other government actors decades and hundreds of years ago did. Our economy runs on the government. We are a state of the government, by the government, and for the government, and the governor himself recognizes it ain't working. And so all I'm trying to suggest to you is not that WMATA is not valuable. We put a tremendous amount of money into WMATA. Meanwhile, do we have a viable, I'll tell you one place where I rode the mass transit a lot in the state of Maryland, the Baltimore Metro system. I lived in the Owings Mills, Reisterstown area when I worked in downtown Baltimore at a law firm, and 3 days a week I went to the Owings Mills Metro station and I rode down to State Center or to one of the other stops in town, usually to State Center, which was the closest to the office building where I worked. I rode it a lot. It's not a very practical system to get around. It's not. You can really only go to certain places. You have to hop a bus to go from one place to another. That's not changing. That's not changing. I can tell you where there's no mass transit. There's no mass transit sufficiently in Charles County and St. Mary's County. There's not a lot of mass transit here in Anne Arundel County. 600,000 people live here. Do they have a metro? No. Do we invest in their metro? No. I'm sure we provide them transit money for the MARC trains to get somebody from somewhere else to here. Do they have their own? Does anybody in Anne Arundel County say this is a giant transportation-oriented development? And so what the amendment does is says this. The people who benefit the most, who generate the additional tax revenue from having WMATA, we take that tax revenue and we put it there. That's all. Where your gas taxes go, they go to the Transportation Trust Fund. Your gas taxes don't go into the Blueprint Fund, although I don't want to give my very good friend from Prince George's County any ideas. So the gas taxes, they go into paying for roads and bridges because that's what you use, they're related. Property taxes, growth in property tax assessments, because you're near a WMATA station, because you've got the benefit of that, should go to pay for what the benefit is. That's all. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Madam Speaker,
Recognizing the delegate from Howard.
I just want to remind the body of the importance of Metro. There were 147 million trips in 2025 on Metro. It is absolutely critical to our regional economic success. Our employers across the region, in Maryland, in Virginia, in DC, and further, depend on Metro to get employees to their companies. It's the second, and I bet not everybody knows this, but it is the second busiest transit system in America. This is not something that we want to allow to degrade. It is 50 years old. In fact, there was a special issue in Washingtonian Magazine that is fascinating that talks about the importance of Metro historically and now. In fact, it says, and I bet you didn't know this either, that Metro has the longest escalator in the Western Hemisphere. 230 feet. Some people knew that. But the point is, this is a very important system for us to be supporting. This bill has guardrails. It doesn't begin until 2029. It only happens if Virginia and DC also agree. There is an off-ramp if we get additional federal money in the future we're not aware of now. We need to pass this bill, and I urge the body to do so.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
The clerk would take the call. There being 90 votes in the negative, the amendment fails. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading. Special order calendar, House Bill 536. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 536, Employment Discrimination, Reasonable Accommodations, Disabilities Due to Childbirth, Menopause, and Related Medical Conditions. Favorable report is amended and adopted.
Recognizing the maker of the motion, the delegate from Carroll County.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam
Good
Speaker.
morning.
I greatly appreciate speaking with the floor leader yesterday, and an amendment. I have an amendment at the desk. Amendment number 223-427-1.
Amendment number 1.
Basically, this amendment will add language specifying that short staffing resulting from an accommodation is explicitly a factor in the undue hardship analysis. And what that will do is, if there is, if it's undue hardship to the employer to accommodate this particular situation, that would be a disqualifying event, and that would protect the employer. So with that consideration, I ask the body to accept this amendment.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. Really appreciate the maker of the amendment bringing that in advance and having a great discussion with me yesterday, because this bill is really all about decency for women, but also about clarity for both employers and employees. And so the committee is happy to accept this as a friendly amendment.
All right. So the question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Recognizing the delegate from Hartford County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just have a quick question. I just want to kind of understand a little bit more about
Floor
this
leader.
bill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We meet again. How are you?
Oh, good. Still alive.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's a low bar. It's a low bar. So I was just musing in my mind yesterday as I sat in the Judiciary Committee dealing with my own internal temperature gauge that has run afoul as I've aged. And as I was texting Morgan to complain about that temperature in the committee, as I often do, shout out to Morgan Streeter. Thanks for always fixing my hot flashes for me with the temperature. I was wondering, how will that affect Morgan and I? How will this bill impact us as I cause my entire committee to change the temperature repeatedly because I don't feel well?
Well, it does not sound like this bill, yeah. It does
God
not
bless
sound
my
like
chair.
It doesn't sound like this bill will affect you, because fortunately, you are one of the many employees in Maryland who has received a reasonable accommodation for a medical issue that you're experiencing.
Yes.
And what this bill is about is making sure that all employees in Maryland not are guaranteed reasonable accommodation, but instead are guaranteed a good faith conversation with their employer, or sometimes, you know, the administrative staff of your employer, the state of Maryland, to make sure that reasonable good faith conversation happens. So when a reasonable accommodation does not create an undue hardship for the employer, we can keep folks employed and keep doing a great job as you're doing.
Yeah, and my only other question is, what if my chair and I are having the opposite temperature issue at the same moment and we are both texting him? Who is he going to choose, and how is that decision made, and could he get in trouble for not choosing me, for example?
That's a great question that's not affected by this bill, but if
Okay.
you want me offline to privately weigh in your favor, I will consider that.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. And again, shout out to Morgan. Thanks for always
Absolutely.
keeping me cool.
Big ups
or
to Morgan.
hot.
Thanks.
Morgan does great work. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is ordered printed for third reading. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
The clerk will call the roll. All right. There being 127 members present, the House is still in session. House third reading calendar number 20. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 218, Office of the Attorney General, Environmental and Natural Resources Crimes Unit, reporting requirement.
House Bill number 218 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 218, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 246, Video Tolls, Class D Trailer Vehicles Liability.
House Bill number 246 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 93 votes in the affirmative and 36 votes in the negative, House Bill number 246, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 252, Environment Lead Paint Abatement Services, Performance Bond and Liability Insurance.
House Bill number 252 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 92 votes in the affirmative and 37 votes in the negative, House Bill number 252, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 255, Natural Resources, Pamela J. Kelly Tree Mendus, Maryland Program Alterations.
House Bill 255 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
To explain my vote.
Yes, recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
You know, I love trees. I live right next to the Gunpowder State Park and see trees every day. But when I come here, I think, what we're doing, is it making Maryland safer, freer, or more affordable? Or is it growing government? And this is growing government. This is something that the DNR does not need to be involved in. We have plenty of other groups that do this. And it's part of the reason we have a $70 billion budget. So for those reasons, I am voting red.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank the delegate for her debate. This bill, all this bill does is alter the purpose of a volunteer program that gets donations to expand how they plant trees. Forestry goes beyond planting trees. It has to do with afforestation, reforestation, and planting and working with native plants. So all this bill does is just expands what this program does, which was just planting trees, but trees go beyond forestry industry altogether. And so this has no fiscal note. It has no real issue. It just expands the industry so that they can actually do more work in the forestry realm. So I don't see how anybody can be opposed to this bill. Thank you.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore. Oh, she did already. You already explained your vote. You
Yes,
cannot
she
get
was debating the bill,
But
so
you cannot get a second bite. I'm going to recognize the lady from Hartford County. Thank
I
you.
just wanted a really quick comment that in our rural community, we actually get a lot of complaints from farmers specifically about programs that put trees along the roadways. It is really causing them issues when they go to plow their fields and farm. The leaves are everywhere and the trees fall down. So there is more than just a fiscal reason to oppose a bill like this. Farmers are consistently complaining about the issues around this exact tree planting program, so and others like it.
The clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 9 votes in the negative, House Bill number 255, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 340, School Psychologist Interstate Licensure Compact.
House Bill 340 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk would take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 340, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 621, Local Boards of Elections, Board Council Qualifications.
House Bill number 621 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk would take the call. There being 112 votes in the affirmative and 17 votes in the negative, House Bill number 621, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 648, Office of Home Energy Programs, Uniform Redetermination Process, Age.
House Bill 648 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have before us House Bill 648, which its purpose is to help people pay their electricity bill. But we have yet to see a single bill in the 2026 session, even though we're halfway past the halfway point in the session. We haven't seen a single bill to solve the energy crisis in Maryland. We are the richest country on the planet when it relates to energy. And yet, as a result of this state's policies from this body, people can't afford their electricity bills. A program like this should never be necessary when you are rich, when you're energy rich. What built this state and what built this country was affordable energy, and you have made it unaffordable. That's unacceptable. So yes, this bill, the purpose of the bill is to help people who can't pay their electricity bill pay it. Well, that's great. But that's not a sign of success. It's a sign of failure. Failure of this body to solve the problem. And once again, past the halfway point of the 2026 session, and not a single bill on this floor to fix the problem, to make energy more affordable in the richest energy country on the planet. Not acceptable. Oh, fine, make the faces. That's good, because you caused this problem. I sure hope you fix it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the chair of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I look
You're
forward to
welcome.
continue working with my colleague from Calvert County on energy issues. It is a really important issue this session, and we do need to work on affordability. I did look back to see if I could find the one magic bill in my committee that would solve everything, and I found a great bill, House Bill 120 from a colleague on data centers. That's a really important issue with energy, but it doesn't deal with reforms we might want to make to the Empower program. So it doesn't solve everything. I found another bill, House Bill 79 from a colleague from, I believe, Anne Arundel County, addresses the Climate Solutions Now Act, but doesn't do anything about data centers. So there is no one magic bill that will solve all of these issues. We have put legislation out on the floor that will help solve these issues. I don't think everybody here voted for it, but it did have bipartisan support, House Bill 1, and that was designed at looking at what our ratepayers could be charged for high-level compensation and benefits. But there is definitely more work to do, and I look forward to working with you on advancing that agenda. What this bill does makes it a little bit easier for those between the ages of 60 and 64 who are extremely economically disadvantaged, people making less than $60,000 a year with a family, and this makes it a little bit easier for them to keep their energy benefits. And those energy benefits exist whether we have high energy prices or low energy prices. Because for folks who are at the bottom of the economic ladder, unfortunately, even in years where for most of us in this room, paying our energy bill doesn't give us a second's thought, they still struggle. And so this is important, whatever is happening with the broader market in our state and our country with energy prices. So I hope you all support this bill that helps those between the ages of 60 and 64 who are the least well off among us pay their energy bills in any year, no matter what's going on with the energy markets. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 648, having received a constitutional majority, is declared pass.
Madam Speaker.
Vote change?
All
right, recognizing the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
House Bill 621 to read, please.
Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 621 to read as well.
Any other vote changes? All right. House third reading, calendar number 21.
Madam Speaker. 621 to read. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay. House third reading calendar number 21. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 107, Motor Vehicles Intelligent Speed Assistance System Pilot Program Establishment.
House Bill number 107 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 99 votes in the affirmative and 30 votes in the negative, House Bill number 107, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 210, Motor Vehicles Out-of-State Drivers Automated Enforcement Out-of-State Driver Accountability Act.
House Bill number 210 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 1 vote in the negative, House Bill number 210, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 228, Horse Racing Prohibited Act, Slaughter of Racehorses for Commercial Purposes.
House Bill number 228 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 2 votes in the negative, House Bill number 228, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 270, Military Family Inclusion Act.
House Bill number 270 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 129 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 270, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 300, State Contracts Prohibited Provisions Exemptions.
House Bill number 300 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 300, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 533, Mel Nolan Woodland Incentives and Fellowship Fund reporting.
House Bill number 533 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk would take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 533, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 553, Public Safety Elevator Inspection Certificates Searchable Database.
House Bill 553 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 105 votes in the affirmative and 23 votes in the negative, House Bill number 533, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 601, Montgomery County Stop Sign Monitoring Systems Pilot Program, Gaithersburg and Rockville.
House Bill number 601 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 95 votes in the affirmative and 28 votes in the negative, House Bill number 601, Having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Are there any vote change? Okay. House third reading calendar number 22. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 474, Vehicle Laws, Dangerous Accumulations of Snow and Ice Removal from Exposed Vehicle Surfaces, Clear Before You Drive Act.
House Bill number 474 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 474, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 477, Criminal Procedure, Admission of Out-of-Court Statements, Assault in the Second Degree.
House Bill number 477 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 123 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 477, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 486, Public Schools, Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day Establishment.
House Bill number 486 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone...
Madam Speaker, explain my vote.
Okay, yes, recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I know this bill came out of Ways and Means unanimously, and I'm counting 6 no votes up on the board. We have a member out sick. I have no problem with the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day being taught, but I want accurate history to be taught. So if you look at the bill, page 2, line 12 and 13, it says, shall include resources to assist teachers in engaging students in discussions about civil rights and social justice. Makes a pretty substantial change to curriculum there. Social justice is often taught through the lenses of the oppressed versus the oppressor. It's anti-American. Absolutely. It's divisive and should not be part of our school curriculum. And I happen to have a little social justice poster right here with me. Talks about Gaithersburg Middle School. Student-led ice walkout. Make posters during lunch. Bring and carry your country's flag. Look, overwhelmingly we want teachers to focus on reading, writing, arithmetic, and teaching accurate history. Teaching it through the lenses of social justice. That's not right. We need to get schools back on track. And for all those reasons, Madam Speaker, I'll be voting red on this bill. Thank you.
Madam Speaker.
Okay, recognizing, who would like to, wait, 3 got up? Okay, recognizing the chair of the committee, I apologize.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
I'm casting proudly my green vote on this legislation, Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, because here in Maryland, we do recognize accurate history. We do study currently social studies and civil rights as part of that curriculum. I'll also draw to everyone's attention, Madam Speaker, that there are many days that are commemorated already in our schools, as is Constitution Day, where our students learn about the Constitution. Veterans Day has a portion of it where students come to school the next day or within that week to learn about our veterans. Martin Luther King, Lincoln's birthday, Washington's birthday. These are some of the commemorative days, and we are adding Ruby Bridges and her historic integration to that. Thank you so much, colleagues, for your green vote, and thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
To explain my vote.
Go ahead. Oh, I have, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I too point to page 2, line 9 to 10, shall include resources to assist students to discuss social justice. Here we are halfway through our session, and this is the first education bill that is pointing resources towards social justice instead of kids learning how to read and write. Baltimore County has the lowest graduation rate in 14 years. Our schools systems have some schools that 0 kids are proficient in math. We should be teaching kids basic skills, and that should be the first bill coming out of this chamber. For that, I am a red.
Okay, recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm standing to explain my vote. Again, when you're talking about history, the best way to learn about war is through the eyes of the soldier, not through the eyes of the general. And that's what they're attempting to do. To say that we need to teach our children the basics is creating basic children. Critical thinking is the best thing that you can give your child. That means challenging them at every level, making sure their eyes are open, not only to the future, but to the past. To sit here and say that somehow it is un-American to teach people about the fight that my people and many of the individuals in this room have experienced and still do is shocking, because I fought for this country. So I know what being American is. And I used to tell my children every day, this is the best day in this country to be black. I'm not so sure anymore, because to say that it is un-American to talk about our history, the truth, the battle scars, the things that people suffer. At the end of the day, I'm not going to infer what you meant. I just know what I heard. But I say that we are proud to teach our children critical thinking. I don't want my kids to be basic, and they are so far from it. We need to teach them how to think and think for themselves, and that means knowing your past as well as your future. Thank you.
The clerk would take the call. There being 119 votes in the affirmative and 6 votes in the negative, House Bill 486, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 491, Criminal Procedure, Victims of Sexually Assaultive Behavior, Request for Verbal Acknowledgement.
House Bill 491 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 491, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 619, Interstate Podiatric Medical Licensure Compact.
House Bill 619 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 619, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 625, Human Relevant Research Fund, Collection of Contributions, Responsible Entity.
House Bill number 625 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 93 votes in the affirmative and 35 votes in the negative, House Bill 625, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. House third reading calendar. Actually, is there anyone have a vote change? Okay. House third reading calendar number 23. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 677, Reduction Facilities in Veteran Service Organizations, Hydrolyzed and Soil Remains Immunity.
House Bill number 677 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative. House Bill number 677, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 821, Judiciary Department, judicial removal, disqualification from future judicial office.
House Bill 821 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 821, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 855, Common Ownership Communities, candidate or proposition signs, display period.
House Bill 855 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 855, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 899, Home Detention Monitoring Agencies, Promotion and Solicitation of Business, Prohibition.
House Bill 899 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 899, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 911, Horse Racing, Laurel Park, Arabian Breed Racing Authorization.
House Bill number 911 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill 911, 911, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 1030, Office of the State Prosecutor, Investigation of Threats, Judges.
House Bill number 1030 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 127 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 1030, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Any vote change? House, third reading, calendar number 24. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 182, Election Law, Presidential Electors, Selection and Voting.
House Bill number 182 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 182, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 225, Maryland Horse Industry Board, Sunset Extension.
House Bill number 225 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Thank you. Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 225, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 301, Maryland Military Department, Supervision of State Active Duty Personnel.
House Bill 301 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 128 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 301, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 364, State Veterans Cemeteries Interment.
House Bill number 364 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 120 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill 364, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 395, Water Pollution Control, Discharge Permits, Animal Feeding Operations.
House Bill 395 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 126 votes in the affirmative and 0 votes in the negative, House Bill number 395, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 451, Maryland Zero Emission Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Council, Membership Duties and Sunset Repeal.
House Bill number 451 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 94 votes in the affirmative and 33 votes in the negative, House Bill 451, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Any vote change?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the gentleman from Anne Arundel.
Vote change HB 486 to red.
Anyone else? Recognizing the gentleman from Southern Maryland.
Thank you, ma'am. House Bill 451 to red.
Recognizing the gentleman from Western Maryland.
I am a gentleman. House Bill 450.
Yes, you are.
Thank you. House Bill 451 to red. Thank you.
Anyone else? Recognizing the lady from Frederick County.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
451 to red and 621 to red.
Please remember to turn in your yellow slip. Anyone else? Okay. House third reading calendar number 25. The clerk will read the bill.
House Bill 280, Health Insurance, Mental Health and Substance Use Disorders, Codification of Federal Requirements.
House Bill number 280 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 93 votes in the affirmative and 35 votes in the negative, House Bill number 280, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 417, Criminal Law, Schedule 3, Controlled Dangerous Substances, Medetomidine and Xylazine.
House Bill number 417 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 126 votes in the affirmative and 1 vote in the negative, House Bill number 417, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Is there a vote change? Okay. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 564, Pet Cremation and Burial Services Requirements, Pet Cremation and Burial Services Consumer Protection Act.
House Bill number 564 is on third reading and final passage. Is there any debate? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Madam Speaker?
Has everyone recorded their vote? Does anyone care to change their vote? If not, the clerk will take the call. There being 126 votes in the affirmative and 1 vote in the negative, House Bill number 564, having received a constitutional majority, is declared passed. Any vote changes? Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to change my vote on House Bill 417 to a positive, to a green.
All right, to green. There you go. Anyone else? Recognizing the Vice Chair of the Health Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my button wasn't working on 564.
And you would like?
I would like green, please.
Remember to turn in your yellow slips. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, everyone. Recognizing, 1 second, report of the Committee on Economic Matters, report number 4. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 80, landlord and tenant residential leases, fee disclosures, favorable amendments, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Musa must be considered the reading of the amendments.
So order.
Thank you. Amendment number 1 clarifies trash collection as a utility rather than a fee. And amendment number 2 clarifies that the fee disclosure requirements do not apply to any costs, fines, or fees that are imposed for the violation of a lease agreement. Move the amendments.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 153, residential rental apartments, air conditioning requirement, favorable amendments, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're
Musa
welcome.
must be considered the reading of the amendments.
So order.
Amendment number 1 strikes a provision that exempted the Housing Authority of Baltimore City from the requirements of the bill. And amendment number 2 clarifies that the bill does not preclude a local jurisdiction from establishing more stringent requirements. Move the amendments.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor, let me just finish reading 1 minute.
I don't want to adopt the amendment, so I don't know what the process is. How do I challenge that?
Let me continue reading because I'm going to be saying all in favor say aye and then say no.
And I say no. Perfect.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the question before the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no.
No. I have a question for the floor leader, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So I heard you say that this amendment exempts the Baltimore County or Baltimore City housing.
The Housing Authority of Baltimore City, yes, that's your normal public housing.
So why would you exempt public housing when you're not exempting private landlords?
So to be clear, originally the bill exempted the Housing Authority. We struck their exemption, so they're no longer exempted. That's what the amendment did.
Okay, so you're unexempting.
Correct.
Perfect. I don't oppose. Thank you.
Okay. So the question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favor. Okay. So what is this? Okay. So the amendment is adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. We're going to get it right. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. And I want to thank the clerk for making sure I get it right. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is printed for third reading. Thank you so much. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 200, sale of residential real property, required flood risk disclosure, favorable amendments, amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Musa must be considered the reading of the
So
amendments.
order.
Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 narrows the scope of the bill to specified sales of certain residential real property and strikes disclosure requirements related to the number of flooding events on the property and the amount of money received from the flood claims. Move the amendments.
So the question before the House is the adoption of the amendments. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 235, Housing and Community Development Neighborhood Business Development Program, Local Approval Requirement. Favorable amendments. Amendment number 1.
Recognizing the floor leader, the gentleman from the Eastern Shore.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
So much be considered the reading of amendments.
So order.
As amended, HB 235 alters the number of days that a political subdivision has to approve a specified application for financial assistance under the Department of Housing and Community Development's Neighborhood Business Works Program. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 alters the number of days from 45 to 15 that a political subdivision has to approve an application. Move the amendment.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. The question now is the adoption of the favorable report as amended. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any additional amendments to the bill as to its title? Are you getting nervous? No, just kidding. Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading.
The minority leader was getting ready to stand up. I could have gotten nervous then, but I think we're good.
Report of the Committee on Economic Matters, report number 5. The clerk will read the first bill.
House Bill 240, Local Comprehensive Plans, Guidance Materials, and Notification to the Department of Planning. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading. The clerk will read the next bill.
House Bill 557, Occupational and Licensing and Certification Criminal History Predetermination Review Process. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is printed for third reading. The next bill, please.
House Bill 643, Certified Public Accountants Licensure Qualifications. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is order printed for third reading. The clerk will read the next bill, please.
House Bill 1025, State Board of Cosmetologists Licensing Eyelash Extensions. Favorable.
The question before the House is the adoption of the favorable report. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The favorable report is adopted. Are there any amendments to the bill as to its title? Hearing none, the bill is printed for third reading. That ends the work at the desk. I want to thank everyone for their patience today. I want to thank the clerk for helping me through this and my team here. And all of you are doing great work. Committee announcements, appropriations.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The full committee will not meet, but please listen for subcommittee announcements.
Economic matters.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Economic matters will continue bill hearings at 1 p.m.
Environment and Transportation.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The House Environment and Transportation Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Government, Labor, and Elections.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. GLEE will meet at 1 for bill hearings.
Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings. Please listen for subcommittee announcements.
Judiciary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The subcommittee chairs will be meeting at 12 in room 350 and bill hearings at 1 p.m.
Ways and Means.
Madam Speaker, the Ways and Means Committee will meet at 1 p.m. for bill hearings.
Subcommittee announcements. Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore City.
Madam Speaker, the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee will meet today after bill hearings.
Wonderful. Recognizing the lady from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Revenue Subcommittee of the Ways and Means Committee will meet at 12:30 today.
Recognizing the delegate from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Government Operations and Ethics Committee will meet today at noon.
Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore City.
The Health Occupations Committee will meet 20 minutes after we get off the floor.
The delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Environment Subcommittee will meet today after bill hearings.
The delegate from Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Business Regulations Subcommittee will meet immediately following bill hearings and Economic Matters Committee.
the young lady from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Health and Social Services Subcommittee on Appropriations will be having our Behavioral Health Administration budget hearing at 1 p.m. in the joint hearing room. Thank
The
you.
delegate from Howard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Agriculture and Aquaculture Subcommittee of ENT will meet after the Environment
The
Subcommittee.
delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Local Government Subcommittee of GLE will meet this afternoon virtually after hearings.
The delegate from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Election Law Subcommittee of Government, Labor, and Elections will meet at 12:30.
The delegate from Baltimore City.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Education and Economic Development Subcommittee of Appropriations will be meeting for a budget hearing at 1:15. Thank you.
The delegate from Montgomery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Public Safety and Administration Subcommittee of Appropriations will be meeting today at 1 p.m. for budget hearings in room 150.
Any other subcommittee announcements? Subcommittee announcements? All right. We're going on to delegation announcements. Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you. I meant to do this earlier. 601, I wanted to be in the yay. Thank you.
Okay. Did that go down? No, just kidding. Delegation announcements. Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Bi-County Committee of the Prince George's County Delegation will be meeting tomorrow morning virtually at 9 a.m. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any delegation announcements? Seeing none, let's go to caucus announcements. Recognizing the delegate from the Eastern Shore, I think representing the Rural Caucus.
That is correct. The Rural Caucus will meet at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning via Zoom.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, let's move on to Women's History Month. And today that will be presented by the wonderful delegate from Frederick County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
So today, please join me in honoring a woman who, like many who walk these halls, is an immigrant and an American. I hope she would like to stand up because I know you might. Okay. She loves and embraces our country, our state, and our community. She is a trailblazer. She's an innovator. She's a developer. She's a pathfinder, shaping our state, shaping our communities. She's an advocate. In fact, funny enough, most of you know her and are not surprised that she's really not here to be honored. She actually is planning to testify on multiple bills in multiple committees. She actually said, oh, that's great because, you know, health is so important to me, so I'll be in health to testify. And let me see in Ways and Means if there's something in education because you know how important education is. And then I just heard her tell several of you that she was going to be testifying on your bills. So she also indicated that she needed to check in on her dearest friend, Secretary of State Susan Lee, and also needed to check in on her friend, Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller. So you can see where I rate. Anyway, so her energy is never ending. I actually was kind of exhausted to hear all of what she plans to do today. She is a public servant. She is a powerhouse. In Frederick, in Maryland, and around the world. She is someone who deserves her flowers now while she can smell them. Yes, Madam Speaker, I stole that from you. Her good works will be remembered and appreciated for a long time. She is leaving a legacy. She is a native of Hong Kong, China, and immigrated to the United States in 1970. She makes a difference. She helps her community wherever she goes. She made a difference when she went to college in Hawaii. She made a difference at Pennsylvania State University and began her lifelong career of making health resources accessible and equitable. Thankfully, she decided to bless Maryland and decided to make Frederick her home. The Shiro that we honor today is the founder and executive director of the Asian American Center of Frederick. Her mission is to make a difference, to enrich the future of Maryland by equipping and empowering immigrants to become independent and self-sufficient contributors to our communities. Whenever there is a need, our Shiro of the day is there to fill that gap. Whether it is health education, whether it is legal services, whether it is senior services, whether it is childcare, workforce development, volunteer support, emergency assistance, or most importantly, cultural enrichment. In other words, she's also fun, and she does like to celebrate. One of my favorite events to attend is Asia on the Creek. Of course, she just recently also recognized international women throughout our state. She promotes Asian heritage and culture through art, dance, music, conversation, and most importantly, food. She brings people of all cultures and all backgrounds together using the 3 Ps: passion, persistence, and perseverance. It is because of her passion, her persistence, her perseverance, that she sits on over 8 boards and commissions in our state, including the New American Advisory Council of the Maryland Comptroller and the Refugee Welcoming Coalition of Maryland. Many of us have learned from her. Many of us have been mentored by her. She supports and protects our most vulnerable communities through transformative leadership and pride in all cultures and people that make us Maryland. Please join me in celebrating our esteemed guest, Elizabeth Chung. She will be remembered and celebrated as a great Marylander and Frederictonian for generations to come. Thank you.
You deserve it. Thank you. Congratulations, very deserving. We're going to take a picture. 1 second. They're presenting you with some flowers.
Good to see you, Mom. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you.
Yep. Madam Speaker.
Any personal guest announcements? Recognizing the gentleman from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. If I could ask my colleagues to help me welcome the Doctor of the Day. The Doctor of the Day is Larry Green, and he is a dermatologist in Rockville. He also happens to be the chair of MedChi's Legislative Committee, so thank you for that, Larry. And he happens to also be from District 15. Thank you, Doctor of the Day.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery County.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Quite quick for me. May I use permission to use delegates' names?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of myself and Delegate Nicole Williams, as legislative co-chairs of the J. Franklin Bourne Bar Association, we're delighted to have the Legislative Black Caucus support today's annual Black Bar event. There'll be 5 black bars representing the state of Maryland joining us today at 5:30 in room 170. Those bar associations are Monumental City Bar Foundation, Alliance of Black Women Attorneys, J. Franklin Bourne Bar Association, sorry, my glasses, Warren Mitchell Law Society, and the Rundle Black Bar Association. Please stop by between 5:30 and 7:30. They'll be delighted to see their legislators present as they come to Annapolis to hear more about the Black Caucus is doing and what other legislators are doing to support them. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
pleased to have a couple of constituents in the gallery, and they've lasted the whole time. They're up there right now. They're from a part of my community called Paradise. It always worries me, such pressure to live in Paradise, but I want to tell you they're very happy people, and I'm pleased to welcome Denise Ball, Valerie Derricks, and Chase Francis, who have sat up there and watched the procedure.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Frederick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. 1 week from tonight is the Irish Caucus celebration. And some of the members of the Irish Caucus, if you could raise your hands or stand up, they have, you can give them your checks made out to We Are CASA, or they also have a QR code that you can use to purchase your tickets. Hope to see everyone there 1 week from tonight.
Thank you. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery to my right.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to recognize visitors today from the AFCEA Central Maryland chapter, which enables current and future national security missions by connecting government, military, private industry, and academia to advance information technology, intelligence, and global security in the Fort Meade ecosystem, promoting the education of future leaders in STEM and prioritizing the continued education of professionals who support the Department of Defense are critical to the AFCEA Central Maryland chapter's mission. Each year, proceeds from corporate sponsors and chapter events allow the AFCEA Central Maryland chapter to award over $250,000 in scholarships, endowments, and grants to qualified schools, students, and teachers in Maryland. So please help me welcome members of the AFCEA Central Maryland chapter.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Montgomery, then Anne Arundel.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, I rise to recognize the birthday of one of our colleagues, one of Montgomery County's greatest living heroes. It's been many years since this colleague emerged from his mother's womb in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He went on to earn a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. He's done 2 civilian tours in Iraq. He climbs mountains for fun. He uses pepper spray to season his meat. He can dribble a bowling ball. He once defeated me in an arm wrestling competition with both arms tied behind his back. He can make a slinky go upstairs, and he can do a wheelie on a unicycle. When he goes to a restaurant, the waiter tips him. And he's never blinked in his entire life. Now, he's only failed twice. He lost a race for the Montgomery County School Board, and he lost the race for Congress in District 8. But since then, he took on the Montgomery County political establishment, and he won a seat in the Maryland House of Delegates. That's right, he stared down the power brokers in Rockville, and he emerged victorious. Since he's been in Annapolis, this delegate has turned heads for both his legislation and for his dashing good looks. On his committee, he's known for his sense of humor and also for keeping the volume on his phone turned up as high as possible. Please join, permission to use the delegate's name?
Permission granted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Please join me, Delegate Miller, and Delegate Pippi in wishing Delegate Celebrity a happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Very impressive. Recognizing the delegate from Anne Arundel, then Baltimore County.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Today we have the Chesapeake Bay Foundation student leaders. I believe they're up there, or they were. There they are. Welcome. The mission of the Chesapeake Bay Foundation Student Leader Program is to connect, educate, and inspire the next generation of environmental stewards to become critical thinkers and environmental problem solvers by advancing advocacy, raising awareness, and taking action to help save the Bay. Participants come from high schools across Maryland, and they will be spending their afternoon observing committee hearings and visiting with all of us and our staff. So welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate, very patient, from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, please help me welcome friends from Baltimore County sitting up in the gallery watching us work this morning. Our judges, Susan Souter and Arthur Frank.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Hartford County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Up in the gallery behind me, folks, I have a friend. His name is Alex. He hails from Montgomery County. He is the only other young man I've ever met who loves public transportation, specifically buses and trains, as much as the good chair of the E&T committee. And so if you all, also, he's just recently gotten his license. So if you guys could give him a shout out. He's excited to be here to learn about how we do things and talk with folks about public transportation.
Welcome. Recognizing the delegate from Prince George's.
Thank you, Madam
You're
Speaker.
welcome.
Colleagues, tomorrow is Advocacy Day for the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. I invite you to hear them as they are going around, but more importantly, tomorrow evening, beginning at 6 p.m. on the second floor hallway, our local artists who have graced us with their beautiful creations that are up and down the hall will be here to talk about what they're doing and for you to meet them. So I invite you out tomorrow afternoon, 6 p.m., second floor hall, to meet the artists. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other personal or guest announcements? Seeing none, quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Anyone in the back? Has everyone recorded their presence? The clerk will take the call. There being 126 members present, the House is still in session. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
You're welcome.
Move that the House stands adjourned until Thursday, March 5th at 10 o'clock a.m., legislative date February 24th.
Thank you, everyone. Have a blessed day.